Colin, if you could play this, if people remember Nancy Pelosi when she was asked recently
Oh, this makes me so mad.
about whether politicians like her or their spouses should be able to trade stocks, since obviously the definition of a politician would be insider information.
Right.
Let's remind folks what Speaker Pelosi had to say about that.
Insider just completed a 5-month investigation finding that 49 members of Congress and 182 senior congressional staffers have violated the Stock Act, the insider trading law. I'm wondering if you have any reaction to that, and secondly, should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review. But if people aren't reporting, they should be. Because this is a free market, and we are a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
She's showing us why it's not a free market economy. She is showing us why it's not a free market economy. No, Nancy, it is not a free market if you have insider information that allows you to buy and sell stock that the rest of the general public does not have. And you absolutely do have access to that information. That's not up for debate.
Right.
That is so infuriating.
It's a rigged market. That's what it is.
Entirely rigged. Yeah.
And she and others are making policy based on their insider information. They're also making trades based on that insider information. Oh, by the way, a lot of the information that they're or the companies they're trading happen to be some of their biggest donors. So I just wonder what kind of information Nancy Pelosi is getting from Google donors or other types of donors, which brings me, if you have this, Colin, New York Post story. Nancy Pelosi scoops up call options for Google, Disney, Roblox stocks. So Congress is in recess for the holidays, but Nancy Pelosi is kept busy playing the market. The Democratic Majority Leader and her husband, Paul Pelosi, recently bought millions of dollars worth of call options for stocks including Google, Salesforce, Roblox, and Disney. Financial disclosures published Thursday show the purchases occurred from December 17th to the 21st, just days after Pelosi insisted at a press conference that members of Congress should be allowed to trade individual stocks, despite often being privy to insider information that could move markets. Quote, we're a free market. So that's interesting that after she was asked about that, it was very similar, by the way. You remember when she went off on someone during a town hall? We're capitalists. We're capitalists.
Yeah, well, she is. I mean, she's practically a billionaire.
No, I think she is a billionaire.
She might have crossed the threshold, but yeah, she's very close.
So I wanted to, we showed you Pelosi, what she said. We showed you then why it's not a free market. She's making all these high leverage trades. Who knows what inside information she has on Google or anything else. So John Ossoff, senator from Georgia,
he's fighting that.
Expected to snub Pelosi by pushing ban on Congress stock trades. Georgia Senator Ossoff is looking to introduce a bill that would ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks, a practice that Pelosi has defended as her husband rakes in millions of dollars trading shares of tech companies. The Ossoff ethics bill, which the Democratic freshman senator plans to introduce once he finds a Republican co-sponsor, would crack down on conflicts of interest by making it illegal for lawmakers and their families to trade stocks while in office. So, I don't know. John Ossoff is a dime a dozen neoliberal. I'll take his word for it that he's actually going to do
Yeah, I was actually surprised that he was the one spearheading that. I think it's the right thing to do. The problems are there's one set of rules for the elites, for the wealthy elites, and then there's another set of rules for everybody else. People need to understand that they don't have access to the same ways of making money. So when these folks say, yeah, but they worked really hard, we could do that too. But no, you can't. You don't have access to the same tools. Anybody that's running a hedge fund, I promise you, this is not a crazy thing I'm about to say. I promise you that they are insider trading.
Yeah.
They are. So this is, even though it's illegal, the SEC absolutely does not go after anybody for it. Half of the SEC is actually filled with banksters themselves, right? So these guys are going to absolutely turn a blind eye, maybe even engage in it. So we have a very dysfunctional system. Regulatory capture is part of the problem, obviously. But really what bothers me the most is here you have somebody that's put herself up as a leftist. Like, I am fighting for the working class. I've always been a leftist. Like, this is who she says she is, but she has never been that person. Nancy Pelosi has never been that person. And it's really upsetting to me because it's really hard to get her removed from that position, because the other part of that problem is her district is very wealthy, right? So when you have a district where the average income salary is 145,000 a year, that's your average. You have a lot of billionaires in that district, right? You're going to have a really hard time replacing that with a real progressive.
Well, it's not just her. I mean,
No, it's
Democratic
not just
Party, the
her.
Democratic Party has opted basically for 30 years, but specifically if you're looking at the last 2-3 years, they are shifting more towards upper middle class suburban voters who were very instrumental in the Democrats retaking the House in 2018. The suburban women revolted against Trump. The suburban vote was very instrumental in Biden winning in 2020. Those suburban voters, not all, but by and large, they're in areas that are generally more wealthy, generally more professional class rather than working class. Not that professionals don't work hard, but, mostly college educated, hyper educated people. But this goes along with the other topics we talked about, Tina, because Colin, if you have the Ryan Grimm tweet, Ossoff and Warren have pushed this ban on stock trading, but Democratic leaders fought it and are now ceding the issue to Republicans. Let me repeat. In an election year, the Democratic Party, again, because they don't want to piss off their donors, but most importantly, they don't want to hurt their bottom line, they said no, because obviously Pelosi wants to have a free market, i.e., have her husband rake as much money as humanly possible while she pretends to be a champion for children. She's always like, oh, the children. So I want to show this fundraiser, this newsletter too. So Ryan Grimm tweeted this newsletter. This is from Punchbowl News AM. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is considering instituting new limits or an outright ban on lawmakers holding and trading stocks and equities if Republicans take the majority in November. McCarthy told us his planning on this front is in its early stages, and he hasn't yet decided on what kind of limitations there may be on stock trades or holding. One idea would be to force lawmakers to hold only professionally managed mutual funds. Yeah, okay. Another proposal the GOP leadership is considering would bar lawmakers from holding stocks in companies or industries their committees oversee. Other members have advocated for mandatory blind trusts for lawmakers' holdings. There's been a renewed debate in recent months over putting curbs on lawmakers trading and holding individual stocks. So, to be clear, Tina, there's a better chance of me growing a six-pack by November than the Republican Party, Kevin McCarthy, instituting a ban on politicians trading stocks, a ban on spouses of politicians trading stocks, even curbing it. But they're certainly going to pretend. And I think it really goes to, at the end of the day, when working people, feel that there's no politicians that actually represent them, that even understand them. I think that's why Bernie was so powerful in 2016 and 2020. It's not because he was so charismatic. It's because I saw it when I was covering the campaigns on the road. People felt like this is the first time I actually feel like a politician is speaking to me. But there's really very few of those out there now. And the ones that technically are basically not doing anything. Bernie, the squad, they're playing this inside baseball, try and be a team player in the Democratic Party game, which is not working.